Good morning, everyone. We will go ahead and call the meeting of the September 19th, 2023 Cannabis Compliance Board for the State of Nevada. Could I have a roll call?
Member Merritt,
Present.
Dr. Young,
Present.
Justice Douglas, Vice Chair Durrett,
Here.
and Chair Guzman-Freilich.
Present. Okay, with that, we'll go to our first public comment. We're going to limit the comment to 3 minutes. So if anybody has comment, we'll go to the South first, then we'll go to Carson City, and then we'll go online. Anybody in Las Vegas have public comment?
Chair, this is Sarah. I'm going to go ahead and read the call-in instructions first, if that's okay.
Sure, thank you.
To provide public comment via telephone, call 669-444-9171. Enter webinar ID 817-2844-5680, followed by passcode 544082.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairwoman, members of the board. Amanda Connor with the law firm of Connor & Connor. As I'm sure most of you are aware, there are several consumption lounge applicants, prospective licenses going through suitability applications, and they were given an extension until September 29th of this month to submit all documents, or they could seek an additional extension by submitting a request by September 15th to be heard at the CCB meeting that was to be scheduled on September 26th. As we are all here on the 19th, I think we know the meeting was rescheduled, and so those extension requests were not heard. I would ask on behalf of those who did seek those extensions that there be a process, either administratively or something, to consider those given that the meeting was rescheduled. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the South? Okay, we'll go to Carson City. Dr. Young, do we have anybody in Carson City for public comment?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, Dan Steele. Reviewing Regulation 11, it looks good. Just one thing I wanted to point out to the board, ISO 17025 proficiency testing, a comparison test between two labs, is a critical component of the ISO standard. Laboratories participate in proficiency testing at least once a year for each type of test they perform. More frequent proficiency testing may be required when a significant change occurs in the laboratory's operations. AR 2250, Section 1, Subsection 1.4 states, the laboratory shall retain records of their participation for a minimum of 4 years. These documents should be made available. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And we just want to make sure that everybody knows that the regulation workshop is set for the 26th. I know that there might be some confusion because I know we were originally set for our meeting on the 26th, but it's been rescheduled for today. So just so in case anybody else is here for the regulation meeting, that's on the 26th. Okay, any additional comment from Carson City?
No additional comment.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go online. Sarah, do we have any comment?
There is no public comment online.
Okay, great. All right, then we will go on to item number 2 on our agenda, and those are the long meeting minutes from our August 22nd, 2023 meeting. Are there any comments, concerns, edits from the board members? Okay, hearing none, if somebody could make a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes from the August 22nd, 2023 agenda.
Thank you. We have a first. Do we have a second? Member Durant, I
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
Okay, I have a first, a couple seconds. All those in favor for approving the minutes of the August 22nd, 2023 meeting of the Cannabis Compliance Board signify by saying yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we'll go to our agenda item number 3, which is the consideration of approval for a conditional license for a cannabis consumption lounge. We have agenda item 3A, Inyo Fine LLC, and I believe we also have a presentation, affirmative presentation with slides, I believe, too, correct? Perfect,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. Welcome.
Thank you. David Goldwater representing
David.
Inyo Fine Cannabis Dispensary, also.
Mr. Goldwater,
Yes, Mr.
can I read it into the record, please?
Again?
Hold on just one
Oh,
moment.
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor.
Chair
Thanks,
Guzman,
David.
Freilich, Vice Chair Durrett, Justice Douglas, Member Merritt, and Dr. Young. For the record, I am David Staley, Division Chief of Investigations for the CCD. I'm here to present agenda item number 3, which consists of 2 requests for approval of a conditional license for cannabis consumption lounges. If this board approves conditional licensure, the applicant will still need to complete necessary local approvals and final inspection by the CCB's Inspection and Audit Division before it can open for business. Item number A is a request for approval from Inyo Fine Cannabis Dispensary LLC for a retail attached consumption lounge under application number ACON-A22-A00032. Inyo operates a dispensary in Las Vegas and plans to operate its consumption lounge as a venue for vendors of various brands to showcase their products. Inyo has submitted all information required to move to a conditional license status. No areas of concern were identified during this investigation. I'm available for any questions, and my understanding is that David Goldwater and Chris Olson are available to address any questions you may have as well. With that, Chair Guzman Freilich, I'll turn this item back to you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Staley. Sorry for stepping on your toes there. Didn't mean to do that. Madam Chair, members of the board, we have been asked to put a small presentation together so you may better understand our application, and we're happy to do so. This presentation may be a little bit different because I was not as an enthusiastic supporter of the consumption lounges as perhaps some of your other applicants are. But Mr. Olson and I considered all the different factors, and we made a business decision to move forward. So what I'd like to present to you today is what went into that business decision, what our strategic vision is for the consumption lounge, what makes Inyo a valued community partner, and finally, how important the culture of compliance is. So we'll go to the next slide. As you may have read and Mr. Staley alluded to, our application has a vision of an alliance with our strategic partners in the lounge, rather than some sort of unique destination or unique concept. Some of these, we base this vision on some things that have already happened. We all know the brand Starbucks. We all know the brand Barnes and Noble. Before they put Starbucks inside of Barnes and Noble, somebody might have thought you were crazy to suggest that a coffee maker would be a good place to put a store inside of a bookstore. But however that meeting came, that turned out to be a good strategic partnership, and that's what we envisioned for Inyo. Next slide there. Some of the brands that we have, though we haven't identified yet a single brand or several brands that we want to partner with, Inyo is independent. We are not vertically integrated. So we have the ability to have relationships with some of Nevada's top brands, not just Nevada, but some of the brands nationally and maybe even internationally someday that represent there. So that gives us a unique opportunity. Inyo will make the capital investment and provide the operating expertise to make sure that the lounge is compliant and well-resourced so it can be successful. Next slide. We talk a little bit about something I'm very proud of. Inyo has been a great community partner. We are located on the corner of Sahara and Maryland Parkway. I don't know if you know that area, but we decided, Mr. Olson, who's here with me today, Chris and I had decided to locate Inyo there because that's where we grew up. It's a neighborhood we have known. I was born and raised in Las Vegas. I was born on one side of Maryland Parkway at Sunrise Hospital. Went to high school on the north side of Maryland Parkway, Gorman High School. Graduated from college on the south side of Maryland Parkway at UNLV. And this business is right in the middle of Maryland Parkway. So I've been here my whole life. The neighborhood has changed considerably. If you know this location and you've been around town for a while, you may have known that it sat vacant after Blockbuster Video closed. It was an old Blockbuster Video space. It sat vacant for 6-7 years, about right. And it was a place, it was not a safe place. A lot of bad things used to happen around there. Since Inyo has moved in, we've added cameras. We've become great partners with Metro and law enforcement. Whenever there's an incident in the area, we provide a lot of expertise and cameras, and we've helped to assist them as they investigate, solve crimes. Families walk to and from the grocery store, Smith's, which is right around the corner. And we feel like we've been a great community partner from the dispensary standpoint. From the consumption lounge standpoint, even though we are very vigilant about enforcing your regulation and the statutes to make sure that consumption does not occur around Inyo, it is a very high traffic area. It is a very unique demographic. We have an urban working class demographic. Evidence of consumption is around all the time. You can smell it, you can see some things going on. Certainly cannabis is not the only evidence that we see around there. We feel pretty strongly that were a consumption lounge available in the neighborhood or in the proximity, that's something that would improve the neighborhood and move the consumption of cannabis from outside around bushes and bus stops and places we have a difficult time policing, even with 2 private security guards, into a space where people that are consuming it legally can do so in a safe, clean environment. We provided, next slide, we provided a business plan, as you may know. This was not the greatest, I've drafted a number of business plans over time. I was not as excited with this business plan as some of the others, but of course, some of the others have been, bringing back the hydrogen dirigible, and I was very excited about, but that's not going anywhere. But what we felt about this business plan is, though the ceiling may not be very high on a cannabis consumption lounge, for us, we felt the floor wasn't too low either. A best case scenario is perhaps a destination, very similar to the concept of having a movie theater inside of a casino. The movie theater can stand on its own, and it has its own independent economic variables, as does a casino, and they can work either together or separately, and each can be a destination successful on a mutually exclusive basis. And in a worst case, it could perhaps be a loss leader. You're familiar with grocery stores, milk, eggs, rice, cheese. They're not grocery stores don't make money on those, but they're purchased frequently, and it brings people in enough to buy the other more profitable items. So it's an effective loss leader for the grocery store. Inyo has always had a culture of compliance. We are small, so we do not have the resources. Chris and I, from the day we started, decided that making sure that we were compliant and not risk. We view this license as a privilege. I believe it's a privilege. When we applied, we told you we were going to do several different things, and we try to do it. Not try, we do it. Regulations, the rules, everything that we're required, we do. And that is first and foremost what we tell all our employees and what Chris and I live every day. The same will be true with the Cannabis Consumption Lounge. We will move that culture of compliance to the lounge. It will be clean. It will be safe. We will be mindful of any illegal activity. I think just personally, I think that's where the risk lies more than anything else. And finally, number 1, a star top of the list, nothing, no risk to minors whatsoever, either in our conduct, in our marketing material, in our products, or in the space in the area. In summary, Madam Chair, members of the board, this has been a business decision. I hope you can move forward with the application. We are going to be making the capital investment and providing the operating expertise. I think Inyo has been shown to be a valued community partner, and we have maintained and will maintain the culture of compliance I know that you value so much, as do we. I'm happy to answer any questions. As I mentioned, Mr. Olson's here today to support.
Thank you, Mr. Goldwater. I do have some few questions, but I'll let my colleagues ask whatever questions they have, and maybe I'll get my answers through them.
Member Drett, well, I just have a comment. Just thank you for the presentation. This is kind of what I expected when these started coming online, these kinds of presentations. I think it's really similar to kind of the decorum in a gaming hearing, and that's not what we've seen so far. So I really appreciate it. I think it really helps familiarize the board with these projects and with the people behind them, and gives like a sense of identity to what's going on out there, and that they're, especially when the people involved are local. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Durrett. Happy to make it longer if you want, shorter.
Any other questions from the board members? Dr. Young, any questions from you?
No questions. Just thank you for the presentation.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. I have a few questions, and I've been to your location, which I'm very grateful. Thank you for taking the time to show me around. Being new to cannabis, I like to get out there, and it's my goal to try and visit as many places as possible so that I can kind of get the lay of the land. And so now, having seen that, can you just take me back to where exactly it is that you're planning to put the lounge?
Sure. Thank you, Member Freilich. David Goldwater. If you recall, we have the dispensary, and then we leased about 900 square feet adjacent on the east side of the dispensary where there's a shared wall.
Okay.
The goal would be to have some, to move it into that 900 feet with maybe some renovation of the dispensary itself. As I shared with you, the dispensary was created in the model of what I think the regulators at the time wanted for a medical facility. So there's a lot of space that we used in that time that we planned for waiting area and the like. That's wasted space, so to speak, right now. So if we do that remodel, I imagine we'll take some space out of the dispensary, move it into the consumption lounge, and have 1,200 square feet for the lounge. With that, for sure, we'll of course share all our plans and changes with this board as well as our local government board that governs land use.
Okay. Is there a time frame that you have in mind? I mean, this is just opening up the door. It's the very beginning, but I just wonder if in both of your minds, if you have
Sure.
a goal set.
Thank you, Madam Chair. David Goldwater again. I try and be respectful of the timelines that are set out in statute by this board, regardless of the fact that they are often extended. So in my head, I have second quarter, third quarter next year, depending on local government, construction schedules, those kinds of things. And it's harder. There's a very active construction market in Nevada right now, particularly in Southern Nevada. So hiring a contractor, finding labor is more of a challenge than it was probably a few years ago when we built it.
Okay. Thank you. Member Merritt, any questions?
No question.
Okay. Anybody else? Member Douglas? No questions? Any other? Your partner's back there. He's the quiet guy. He must be the numbers guy, right?
Yeah, he's a wonderful partner when he doesn't talk.
Well, thank you both very much. Okay, we'll now bring it back to the board for deliberation and conclusion.
Move for the approval of the conditional consumption lounge as to this item 3A, and you find cannabis dispensary.
Okay, we've got a first for approval. Do we have a second?
Member Merritt, I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations and good luck. Okay. Now we will go on to item 3B, which is again the consideration of approval for the conditional license for cannabis consumption lounge for FCWC Operations LLC. Excuse me.
Chair Guzman Freilich, members of the board, for the record, my name is David Staley, Chief of Investigations. Item B is a request for approval from FCWC Operations LLC for an independent consumption lounge under application number ACON-A22-00012. FCWC has requested board approval for a consumption lounge located in Las Vegas, providing an immersive experience to both Las Vegas tourists and locals. FCWC has submitted all information required to move to a conditional license status. No areas of concern were identified during this investigation. I am available for any questions, and my understanding is that Brianna Martinez and Winston Fisher are available to address any questions you may have as well. I would like to note that Mr. Fisher is so excited about his new business that he's traveled from New York to appear before you. With that, Chair Guzman Freilich, I will turn this item back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Staley. Thank you and welcome. I hope that your travel wasn't too delayed.
I actually live here part-time, so I have a house here.
Oh,
I
good.
am actually, so I do come, I'm part-time in New York. I am also part-time in Vegas with the house in Summerlin, so.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you and welcome. Do you have an affirmative presentation for us this morning?
A speech I didn't, visuals I was holding off on for reasons.
Here, I'll start. Brianna Martinez from the law firm Kemfer Kroll. On behalf of FCWC Operations, this is Winston Fisher, the sole member of FCWC. Before we go into any details on the lounge, we would like to thank Investigator Angela Dean for all her hard work and assistance on this matter. It was a pleasure working with her. As Chief Staley informed the board, this is an independent consumption lounge that will be in the city of Las Vegas. It will be located in the vicinity of Area 15 off of Rancho and Desert Inn. The city of Las Vegas has already provided its approval on entitlements for the consumption lounge. And I will let Mr. Fisher provide the board some background on himself and the plans for the lounge.
Well, thank you for having me here today. My name is Winston Fisher. I am a partner at Fisher Brothers and the CEO and co-founder of Area 15. I'm here today to discuss our cannabis consumption lounge. But first, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about who I am, Fisher Brothers, Area 15. Fisher Brothers is a multi-generational real estate company headquartered in New York. We have a robust platform of commercial, residential, experiential assets, very big into charity. We actually have Fisher House, which is located in Las Vegas. We have the Intrepid Museum in New York. So I'd say charity is as important to us as is business. We've been active in Las Vegas since 2005, since we've been out here. We've created hundreds of jobs in the district of where Area 15 is located. Currently, we employ over 500 people, and I'm really proud to say we opened during the pandemic, and we're employing people in the middle of the pandemic, which was really, for me, satisfying. Overall, the district has over 1,200 employees who work there when you take into account all of the tenancies and everything else that are in that area. I'm very excited about this project, about that it's located in the Area 15 district, as we said, right next to the Strip. And for those of you who don't know, we are a curation of best-in-class experiential entertainment that combines art, technology, attractions, unique food and beverage offerings. Our mission is to create an authentic, dynamic and engaging experience for anyone who enters or comes to the campus. We strive to blur the lines between art, technology, and entertainment, pushing the boundaries and challenging our guests to explore their imagination. I can tell you I bring that incredible creative energy to every project I do, hence why I'm really excited about Consumption Lounge to think of creativity and consumer engagement. At Area 15 and in everything I do, we're committed to innovation, creativity, storytelling to provide truly an extraordinary experience for our guests that inspires curiosity. Wonder, exploration, these are all buzzwords that we take very serious. This commitment has led to Area 15 being named the most visited attraction in America. We beat the Museum of Natural History in New York City. We were the #1 attraction in Las Vegas 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice by the Las Vegas paper. So I'm really excited about the Consumption Lounge being an addition to this incredible entertainment campus that has been curated and created. My goal is to be the premier, safe, inviting, warm, creative consumption lounge to bring that spirit of creativity and energy, hospitality, safety. We take safety at Area 15 very serious. We obviously we have events, so I understand compliance. I understand strong operations, all of those things that are critical to running a successful business and running a safe business. Our brand pillars: creativity, safety, inclusivity, fun, happiness. That's how we hope to redefine how people think of a consumption lounge when they come in there. So I am really excited about this opportunity to present today. I'm really excited about this opportunity to create another business in Las Vegas and frankly do something that is unique and different than has been created before. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions?
Mr. Fisher, this is Member Douglas for the record. You have a very successful platform in Area 15, very creative and whatnot. Do you have a targeted space or adjacent space that you plan to do this, and how is it going
We
to?
have some adjacent
intermix?
space around the Area 15 campus that is separate than Area 15, just to be very clear, but with adjacency. So yeah, we've identified the space.
Because I realize especially the non-gaming individuals, they come in groves to your location.
We've been very fortunate to I'd say tap into a whole new form of entertainment in Las Vegas that it's been exciting to see. So we have, as we say, adjacency to bring that same sort of quality level of service, creativity to what we're creating.
One can only hope that you're as successful with the new venture as you've been successful with the prior venture.
Thank you.
Member Drett, thank you again for the affirmative presentation. Yeah, this is, like I said, what kind of more along the lines of what I had expected when we started doing these, and some of them were just, we're here, go ahead and grant it. So thank you. So what about kids? Because I love Area 15 and I love taking my kids. I can't imagine how you could obviously you've thought about this. How are you going to completely not make it so this is it's a family friendly now? So
it is. We say we're PG during the day, rated R at night is sort of the Area 15 motto. This is not located by the front door. I'm very cognizant that there is spatial separation while adjacent, but it is not, it's not in the path a kid would walk, put it that way. You have to walk to get to it, so to speak. It's in the campus area, so I don't want to pretend that it's not close, and obviously strict policies. We do over 21 already in Area 15. So during the day is family friendly, but at night is adult. So we'll be sensitive not to, one, put it in the face of families who are coming in, because I don't want to hurt that market, candidly, and at the same time have very strict door policies.
do you have like a cutoff time where kids don't come at all?
It's 10 p.m. at night on Friday and Saturday nights. We're 21 plus. Yeah, because there's adults.
Yeah,
don't want kids there at 10 o'clock at night.
So I almost think consumption can't even improve on Area 15. I mean, you're already the biggest destination. Like you said, I don't know that consumption, but that's up for you, for you guys to decide. My question was, how do you see, just in general, it penciling out when you have to buy it at retail prices? Is it still worth it, even though you have to buy it at retail prices?
Yes. Well, I mean, you work with obviously, hopefully you can get better than retail price because you're buying from a dispensary. So you set up a strategic deal with them. And then there's merchandise, there's how do you create a brand? How do you get, basically drive a disproportionate traffic that can come and consume not just frankly cannabis, but other products that have good margin.
So in some cases, like the dispensary that you work with will kind of be like a wholesaler?
Yeah, that is right. That's the exact goal, right?
Thanks.
Any other members have any questions? Just following up to Member Durrett's question on the cutoff. So is the lounge, is that going to be open 24 hours, or will
I don't think
only
it'll be open. I can't go ahead.
We planned for it to be 24 hours,
then-
but obviously first they wanted to receive the conditional license
Right.
before they finalize any plans.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have strong door. I mean, 24 hours. I don't want kids in the space. It's just illegal, and that's how you get in trouble. So we take compliance. Everything I do for getting Area 15, having strong compliance, having strong, literally door policies, anything like that. It's just critical to any successful business. You can't survive if you think you can script the rules. It's just that straightforward.
It's a very interesting concept. At the risk of sounding like a Disnoid, it's synergy, right? It's very synergistic.
Right, it is. We're an immersive district, and we have multiple types of tenants that are in the space. We're building another 300,000 square feet, which is not part of what we're talking about here, but we're Universal. That's Area 15, just to be clear, not the consumption lounge. But Universal is coming to Las Vegas now. They're 100,000 square foot build. That's going to employ a ton of people. The Area 15 entertainment district will be over 600,000 square feet of space with food, beverage, entertainment. So it's all about putting different concepts that have unique traffic drivers and are highly curated, best in class. Nothing gets into the district or on that land unless I bless it, because we only want the best.
Member Dredd, I don't know that we even have the mechanism to do this, but is there a way we could see what the plans are before you start building? Because I am kind of concerned, and I am the least probably concerned about, because I always come back to, well, alcohol. These kids can see alcohol. They can be there's a bar in the middle of that main building and kids walk by it and no big deal. We don't worry about that. So why are we worried about consumption? There's also, studies and evidence showing that the more we present to kids, the more comfortable they become with cannabis. So is that possible to get kind of a comfort level
I
that
can say it's not in the path where families walk. It's just
okay. It's
just not right. Like
yeah.
you go in the main entrance. This is not in Area 15 at all.
Yeah.
It's a separate business, separate ownership, separate entity. When you walk in Area 15, you go in the front door, you get dropped off. It is not in that. It's just not in that.
Yeah. So kids aren't even going to necessarily see it unless they're off the.
Right. It's exactly right. It's all, and it's not promoted to kids. It's promoted to adults. We're not building it in a kiddie way. There's a sophistication of design and creativity that is being promoted here. And it's just not towards children.
So my older,
not for them to walk in. It won't be in the path of them walking.
Yeah. My older kids are 10 and 11. They just finally found out what marijuana was. Right. And I've been working in the industry for 10 years and they still don't even know what cannabis is. So, if you, I don't want to take them, or I don't want, I think we need to avoid parents having to have that conversation because they went to Area 15. But
it's not part of Area 15. Yeah. Just to be, I want to be very clear. It is not part of Area 15. It is not in the building. It's not, there's adjacency, but it has nothing to do.
Okay. It would be like a separate entrance.
Yeah. Totally separate.
Separate parking lot even?
No,
or
it's It's in
Okay,
the
separate
campus,
entrance.
but it's separate entrance and it's
It's a separate building.
separate building that you have to walk to.
Like I said, would you mind just submitting plans before you break ground?
My only hesitation is I don't want competition to know what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
I have it's sort of like Area 15. I do build. I'm happy to show you, but I do.
No, just
worry about-
privately, administratively, confidentially. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so that-
we have
yeah.
plans. It's a concept and everything like that. I'm happy to show you, but it's not for kids and it's not next to kids and it's not for,
Yeah.
it's not in Area 15.
No, I just mean to the agency, privately, confidentially,
I think-
before you get ground in case, and I don't even know, again, I don't know what our mechanism would be to do about it anyway, because you're going to be approved regardless, but
I'm happy
just
to have you
to provide a comfort level of like, oh, I see what he was talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
Member Durrett.
I'm happy to have you see it.
For the record, David Staley, members of the board, keep in mind that this is only a conditional approval. This project still will need to undergo approval by all local jurisdictions, as well as our own inspection and audit division. And typically plan inspection is included in the work that audit inspection does before final approval is given so that a company or a project can open its doors. So this is just the first step of our review, where we look at the suitability of the individuals and the company and the business plan and their equity plan and all the rest. The next step will be where our audit and inspection team looks at and gives final approval to the floor plan, security procedures, camera coverage, all that kind of stuff. So there is still going to be a level of review by this agency.
Yeah, but the only time it would come back to the board is final approval after everything's done, right? After it's already built.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that would be my concern, is that it would already be built. And I'm not saying that we don't have any levers. So I just think it would be nice if, like I said, privately, confidentially, we could just go like, oh, yeah, that's what he was talking about.
Sure.
Thanks.
Douglas, for the record, is just a follow-up in light of what's been said. Where are you at with the local authorities in terms of your project?
So we already received City of Las Vegas approval on the entitlements for that location.
And your building and zoning and so on is underway?
It hasn't
Approval.
started yet.
Making sure
We wanted to make sure today that the conditional was approved.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
any additional questions real quick before you leave?
The only question I have is, will it be to Investigator Dean, or how do we make that happen so it gets to the board?
David, do you
Well,
have the answer?
I don't think we have an answer because I just made it up. So I think it's the director, and then it's not be disseminated any further, maybe just the director and the board members.
And you can call and speak to the director and he can guide you to that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no more questions. No more comments. Okay, then we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board. Thank you. Okay. Any questions, concerns? And if not, then
Hi, I'm Chief
Thank
Cronkite
you.
for the record. Just to clarify, all building plans and SOPs, all their procedures go to CCB audit inspection for review. So the division that I oversee, we review all of that. And if I receive that, I can always share it with the board as well.
great. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so member direct for the record, I move to go forward with the conditional approval, and that makes sense. We don't even need to do anything special, or there doesn't need to be anything special in the motion because we can just request it anyway. So I move to approve agenda item 3B.
Okay, we have a motion for the approval of FCWC Operations LLC for a approval for a conditional license for consumption lounge. Is there a second?
Member Young, second that.
Thank you, Dr. Young. First, second, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you and congratulations. Look forward to seeing what you come up with. Okay, and that brings us to item number 4, which is the approvals and resolutions. Item A is the notice of final licensure for Deep Roots Harvest, Inc.
Morning, Chair, members of the board, Steve Gilbert for the record. Agenda item
Morning.
4A is an informational item as a notice to the board of an establishment that has been issued their final license since the last board. Item number 1 is for Deep Roots Harvest Corporate, which was awarded a conditional distribution license in the Mesquite jurisdiction. On July 18th, 2023, the CCB conducted a pre-open inspection and audit of the distribution facility. The inspection and audit results revealed the facility was in compliance with the NCCR and NRS. The statement of no deficiency was issued on August 18th, 2023, demonstrating Deep Roots has met the regulatory operational requirements. And as a result, the CCB approved and issued final licensure to Deep Roots for its distribution license on September 7th, 2023. With that, Chair, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And that's for information only. So we will go on to item number 5, which is a briefing of myself and the executive director. I don't have any briefing to do at this time, but I know you've got some items to go over.
Thank you, Chair. So today, extensions is the theme. 2 points. One is the extensions on prospective consumption lounge applicants. They've been operating currently under a 90-day extension. I believe that was the second 90-day extension. There are still a number of prospective applicants that have not submitted all the documentation that they need. Most of it is centering around the capital requirement. So it's the money that they're working on, and that includes independents and as well as a large portion or a handful of the social equity applicants. And so we had sent communication out asking that they must request another extension and the reason why. So we have received most of those requests. We had asked that we receive those requests by the end of this month, and staff is prepared to grant another 90-day extension, again, if the applicant requests this in writing. And that brings us through the end of the year. I would just say, obviously, this can't go on forever. But given where the economy is, especially as it pertains to cannabis right now, it's hard to get the investment necessary. We want to certainly provide that opportunity for these applicants to get what they need to move forward. So the plan will be, if a request is received with a reason why, staff would then move for a 90-day extension, takes us to the end of the year. But I think starting next year, at some point, these applicants will need to come in front of the board. So hopefully, and I think we're close, we're a lot closer on most of these than we were 3 months ago or 90 days ago. So the hope is that we have a very small number, if any, by the end of the year, but that's where we're at right now. I think it's appropriate to grant an additional extension for these applicants, given that it's a new program. But I would look to bring these back in front of the board in the new year if we're still dealing with some issues, or at least have a discussion about the issues and how we want to proceed. So that I know answers at least somebody's question in the public comment at the beginning, but also happy to answer any additional questions from board members on that point.
Member Drat, I have a question. Should we slap a reg on it? Because if we are giving administrative extensions and then eventually say, well, you have to go to the board or you run out of extensions, shouldn't we have a bright line rule for where that is? So on one of these workshops that we have already scheduled, so it wouldn't be much extra work, should we discuss regulation? I'm not saying we need one. I'm saying, should we discuss whether we need one? And I have another question. When they applied, the independent ones, the social equity ones, like we we knew financing would be a problem. That was like implicit in that application. With the independent ones, did they make some kind of representation that they would have the funding? Because I'm thinking some of the ones who went forward might not like the extensions for the other ones, the independent ones. So 2 questions.
I mean, sure, the representation was made that you will be able to secure the funding. I mean, a regulation is something we can talk about, but we put a regulation in place, and it was 90 days that you have to submit that, but with an option to apply for an extension. So, I mean, this lounge program in general was a lot of we don't know what we don't know until we go through this process. Whether we talk about a regulation now or we talk about regulations after the program or we've completed this licensing round as we do a debrief on what we liked, what we didn't like, maybe that's a more appropriate spot. But yeah, again, this is new territory for everybody, obviously trying to provide as much opportunity as we can, especially with some of the social equity applicants to get what they need together. But I totally agree and am supportive of really taking a look at this when we're done and seeing what we can either put in rules, policies, regulations to make sure it's as smooth as possible going forward.
Thanks. Yeah, it was just a question.
Okay. One more thing to put on our list. Okay.
And then I have one more on extensions. This is for final licensure. November 5th is the date for the most recent round of extensions. This is extensions for licensees outside of lounges to become operational. The board has granted a number of extensions over the last couple years. You know, when we set off on this journey, our list was whittled down as we thought it would be as we moved forward with these extensions. So a lot of the licenses did open and get their final inspection, but we still have now a list of holdouts. And frankly, the list is not whittled down as much as we thought. So we're still looking at around 19 entities, and that includes more than 19 licenses that have not gotten their final inspection, and that some have not even submitted for an extension of the November 5th date. So the board will begin to hear some of these starting next month, but there's still a number of licensees that have not submitted an extension request. And so this is more of an update to the board of what's coming and, you know, a public service announcement that if an extension is needed, you got to get that application in so we can process that.
I have a question. Other than this broadcasting, do we have anything that has gone out as far as a written notice or a posting on our website about the to these specifically to these 19 licensees that are out there?
Yes, and we will do that again, a 30-day notice. But again, it starts to become us chasing around, or chasing these folks around. But we will send that out. We'll have a 30-day notice, and hopefully we get the majority in that need to submit.
Madam Chair, Director, along the same lines as Member Durrett had talked or spoken to as the prior item, I think this we need to look at some type of firm deadline in writing. So I think that needs to be coupled with the discussion we have as to lounges also, to have a bright line test so that we give deference, we allow some movement for extensions, but we have a firm drop dead day so that people who, in essence, like with the normal cannabis operations, went into areas where there was a no as to they weren't doing cannabis, but they took a chance. Well, you took a chance. And 2 years later, if there's been no changes, it's time to just cut bait. But it needs to be in writing, as Member Durrett said, so that people are aware of the stakes of the chance they're taking and under what circumstances extensions will be given.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll go on to item number 6, which is our next meeting date. Next meeting date is October 24th, 2023. And item number 7, items for future agendas. So this is also for discussion only. We've got the, so far an item for future is this drop dead deadline idea. And any other items for future meetings? Okay. And with that, we'll have our final public comment. Again, we'll limit it to 3 minutes. We'll go down here in the south in Las Vegas. Any public comment? Okay. We'll go up north. Carson City, do we have any public comment?
Does not appear to be any public comment.
Thank you. And then we'll go online and see if there's any public comment online.
There was no one online to provide public comment.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting of the CCB board, and we'll see you in October. Thank you. Bye.